Every day your mind is either adapting or deteriorating. Not because you're broken, but because your environment is training you, constantly. You scroll past uncomfortable thoughts, you dodge difficult conversations, you silence the voice inside that says do the hard thing, and you tell yourself it's fine, that you'll deal with it later. That you just need more time, more rest, more motivation. But here's the brutal truth. Your brain doesn't stay neutral. It's either getting sharper or duller, more courageous or more fragile. And the scary part? You won't notice the decline until you need strength and can't find it. Mental strength isn't built by accident. It's not gifted either. It's trained, deliberately, painfully, and purposefully. The people you admire for their calm, their focus, their ability to hold it together when everything is falling apart. They weren't born with that. They built it by doing the exact opposite of what the modern world encourages. This isn't a motivational speech. It's a wake-up call, because you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the strength of your systems. And if your mind isn't built to handle discomfort, discomfort will handle you. So in this video, I'm going to show you, chapter by chapter, exactly how to rebuild your mental architecture into something resilient, calm, and quietly powerful. Not with hype, but with strategy. Let's begin. The operating system in your mind, your brain, doesn't just run on thoughts, it runs on patterns. It's time to rewrite them. You don't think your thoughts think you. Let that sink in, because every time you react on impulse, every time you fire off a message in anger or spiral in anxiety because of something minor, you're not making a conscious choice. You're running a program. Most people go through life operating on default, and that default comes in two versions: reactive and responsive. Reactive minds are loud, impulsive, and chaotic. They explode under stress. They lash out when triggered. They replay conversations in their heads 10, 20, 30 times after the fact. Responsive minds, they pause, they breathe, they still feel everything, but they choose how to act on it. And that's the difference between noise and clarity. Between chaos and composure. Here's the kicker. Your brain doesn't care which one you feed, it just gets better at whatever you repeat. That's neuroplasticity. React in anger over and over. You strengthen that emotional shortcut. Pause, reflect, and choose calm instead. You're literally wiring an emotional precision. It's like this. Your brain is a garden. Your thoughts are seeds. Every reaction is a weed. Every response is a tree. What you water grows. And the truth is, most people take better care of their phones than their minds. We update our apps, we charge our batteries, we delete junk files. But when was the last time you consciously upgraded the way your mind responds to pressure? So, here's your first mental training protocol. Don't try to fix everything at once, just notice. For 1 week, track each time you react versus respond. No judgment, just awareness, because you can't rewire what you won't acknowledge. And once you start seeing the pattern, you take back control of the system running your life. Fear exposure. Protocol: you don't beat fear by avoiding it. You beat it by inviting it in on your terms. Fear has mastered you for so long that you've started calling it logic. It whispers, now's not the right time. What if you fail? Just wait a little longer. But here's the truth. Fear doesn't come with fangs. It comes dressed as reasonable hesitation, and it's convincing. So convincing that you start mistaking paralysis for patience. You tell yourself you're planning when really you're hiding. But here's what no one teaches you. You can inoculate your mind against fear, not by becoming fearless, but by gradually introducing discomfort, until your brain stops panicking at the first sign of risk. Just like a vaccine trains your body with a tiny version of the threat, you train your mind with controlled doses of what you usually avoid. This is how mental immunity is built, step by small, deliberate step. Let's break it down. You want to have the hard conversation. You want to launch the project. You want to take the leap, speak your truth, stand your ground, but instead you default to comfort. You avoid confrontation. You overanalyze until the moment passes. You shrink, not because you're weak, but because your nervous system is untrained. It interprets discomfort as danger, and danger as something to escape. But what if discomfort wasn't danger? What if it was training weight? That's the core of the fear exposure protocol. Expose yourself to the smallest version of what scares you until your brain learns not to flinch. Let's say you fear rejection. Your instinct is to play it safe. Stay silent. Don't ask. Don't risk the no. But with the protocol, you start by asking for tiny favors. Ask for a discount. Ask a question in a meeting. Ask someone for help, knowing they might say no, and when they do, your heart races, your palms sweat. And then, nothing happens. You survive it. And your nervous system gets a microdose of resilience. The next day, you do it again, and it's a little easier. Then again, and again, until one day rejection isn't terrifying, it's just feedback. Same with criticism. Same with discomfort. Same with anything that once ruled you. This is why mentally strong people seem untouchable. They aren't numb. They're trained. They've felt the sting of discomfort enough times that their system stopped interpreting it as a threat. Here's where it gets interesting. The goal is not to eliminate fear. The goal is to build a relationship with it. When fear knocks, you don't slam the door. You open it, let it in, and say, "Let's talk. What are you here to teach me today?" And suddenly, fear becomes fuel. A directional signal. An invitation to grow. This doesn't mean you chase chaos. It means you choose your discomfort before life chooses it for you, because either way, you're going to be uncomfortable. But one leads to growth and the other leads to regret. Let's get practical now. Here's how to run your fear exposure protocol. Choose one small discomfort to face each day, not something overwhelming. Something uncomfortable but survivable. Examples. Speak up when you'd normally stay quiet. Say no without apologizing. Publish something imperfect. Set a boundary and hold it. Notice the resistance. Your brain will try to talk you out of it. It will offer 100 rational-sounding excuses. Smile at them. Then act anyway. Do the thing. Not for the outcome, but for the repetition. This is about building tolerance, not chasing results. Debrief immediately. Afterward ask, what did I learn about myself? Was the fear real or imagined? How will this help me next time? Repeat every single day. Don't skip. Discipline isn't built in theory, only in action. After 1 week, you'll feel a shift. Not in the world, but in you. Things that once felt terrifying start to feel normal, and things that felt normal, like hiding, start to feel unbearable. This is how transformation sneaks up on you. You stop tolerating the voice that says, play small. You stop craving safety above all. You start associating discomfort with expansion, not danger. And the best part? The people around you notice. Your posture changes. Your tone deepens. Your decisions get sharper because courage isn't loud, but it's felt. You walk into the room and no one knows exactly why they respect you. But they do, because you face the thing they still run from. So here's your assignment. Pick one discomfort today, not next week, not when it's convenient. Today, face it, lean in. Don't ask for permission. Don't wait to feel ready, because readiness isn't a feeling, it's a byproduct of repetition. Fear can't own what you confront, and the more you expose yourself to it, the more you become something unshakable. This is how you upgrade your system. This is how you go from reactive to resilient. You don't wait for fear to leave, you walk with it until it gets tired and then lets go. Cognitive armor construction. When your identity is rooted, opinions become weather. They pass, but they don't move you. You've spent most of your life with the gates wide open. Every opinion, every look, every piece of unsolicited advice walked straight in. And it didn't just visit, it rearranged your furniture, it knocked over your values, it questioned your worth. And because you had no filter, no armor, no protocol, you let it. But here's the truth no one teaches you. Not every voice deserves a seat at your table. Not every criticism is feedback, and not every question demands an answer. We live in a world of open access, but your mind isn't public property. It's a fortress, and today we start building the walls. This isn't about shutting people out, it's about deciding who gets in. It's about filtering the world through your core, instead of trying to adjust your core to fit the world. Let's call this process cognitive armor construction. Not walls built from arrogance, but from clarity. not defenses built from fear, but from knowing who you are. Because here's the game most people play. They try to please everyone, to explain themselves, to win approval, to soften every edge. And in doing so, they erase their own outline. The irony? The more you try to be liked, the more invisible you become. But when you build armor the right way, you don't become harder. You become clearer. So how do we build it? We start with the foundation, your core values, not the ones you post on social media, not the ones that sound impressive in conversation, the real ones, the ones you defend when it's inconvenient, the ones that still stand when it costs you something. If you don't define your values, the world will define them for you. So get specific. What are your non-negotiables? What lines will you not cross, no matter who's watching? Write them down. 5 max. If everything matters, nothing does. Now that you've laid the foundation, it's time to add evidence. Armor without evidence is just fantasy. You can't protect what you don't believe. For each value, collect proof. Moments where you lived. It, chose it, sacrificed for it. For example, if one of your values is integrity, what's one moment you told the truth when it was risky? If it's growth, what's one time you chose discomfort over comfort? These are your evidence files. They become your inner courtroom, so when your mind is put on trial, you don't argue. You point to proof. Next comes the criticism protocol, because criticism is inevitable. But not all criticism is useful. Your armor asks 3 questions when you're hit. Is this person qualified to give me this feedback? Not in theory, but in lived experience. If they haven't built what I'm trying to build, why am I handing them the blueprint? Is there truth here I can extract? Even if the delivery is messy, is there a kernel of something useful I can sharpen? Does this align with my values? If it clashes with my foundation, it doesn't stay. If the answers are no, no, and no, then it bounces off like water on polished steel. Most people collapse under criticism because they never developed filters. They assume every opinion is valid. They open every message. They internalize every comment. But you're building a system. You're not reacting. You're reviewing. And the best part, you stop needing to defend yourself. Because when your armor is strong, you stop looking for permission to be who you already are. Confidence, real confidence, isn't loud. It doesn't need to shout over the noise. It whispers and still gets heard. There's something magnetic about someone who doesn't flinch at feedback, who doesn't rush to explain themselves, who isn't constantly reshaping to be palatable. That's presence. And presence isn't built in the spotlight. It's built in private, in silence, by choosing to believe in something unshakable. Yourself. Let's go even deeper. When your armor is weak, you chase external validation like oxygen. One bad comment ruins your day. One rejection unravels your focus. One disagreement shakes your identity. But when your armor is solid, you start to notice something wild. You don't get triggered. You get curious. You hear criticism and think, that's interesting. Let me check that against what I know. You receive harsh feedback and think, what part of this is actually useful? And sometimes, you let it pass entirely, not because you're avoiding it, but because it's simply irrelevant. That's power. Not in how much you react, but in how little you need to. This is what makes someone truly intimidating. They know who they are. And because of that, nothing you say can shake them. So here's your armor assignment. Define your top 5 values. Be specific. Be honest. Choose what matters. Collect evidence. List real-life moments that prove you live by them. Install your criticism filter. Memorize the 3-question protocol. Use it. Practice silence. The next time someone challenges you, pause. Don't rush to explain. Let your presence carry the weight. And remember this, you don't owe the world an explanation for being solid. You don't owe strangers access to your identity, and you never ever owe anyone the power to decide your worth. Armor isn't about being closed, it's about being intentional, and the stronger it gets, the softer you can afford to be. Because you're no longer defending from fear, you're moving from truth. This is how people will start to feel it when you walk into the room. They won't know exactly what's different, but they'll sense it. That calm, that clarity, that centered. Gravity, that's what cognitive armor looks like. And you built it. Pressure. Alchemy pressure doesn't break you. It reveals what you've built. Pressure has a reputation, unfair, honestly. People talk about it like it's a villain, a force that crushes, exhausts, overwhelms. And yes, it can do that, if you don't know how to use it. But here's what most never learn. Pressure isn't the enemy, it's the test, the magnifier. The moment that shows you exactly where you stand. And the difference between those who collapse under it and those who rise inside it comes down to one skill: interpretation. Let's imagine two people facing the exact same challenge. A deadline, a loss, a crisis, a rejection. One shuts down, the other sharpens up. Why? Because while one sees a threat, the other sees a challenge. And the body responds to those two perceptions completely differently. In threat mode, you tighten, you panic. Your brain pulls energy away from logic and pushes it into survival. Fight, flight, freeze. But in challenge mode, your focus sharpens, your breath deepens, your system engages. Same pressure, different result. This is the essence of pressure alchemy, the process of converting emotional heat into mental clarity. Think of pressure like fire. If you fear it, you'll get burned. If you understand it, you'll learn how to cook with it. And if you master it, you can forge steel with it. That's what we're doing here. Forging your mental steel. Let's talk process. Step 1. Pre-decision. Mentally strong people don't wing it. They don't wait until chaos strikes to figure out who they are. They decide beforehand. They know. When pressure hits, I slow down. When things go wrong, I focus on what I control. When I feel fear, I move anyway. This is called mental pre-decision. It's choosing your response before life tests you, because everyone has a plan until they get hit. The question is, what part of you remains when the plan falls apart? Step 2. Ask better questions. When pressure hits, most people ask, why me? What if this goes wrong? How do I make it stop? But pressure alchemists ask, what is this training me for? How can I use this to grow? What does this reveal about me that I need to strengthen? That shift from avoidance to engagement turns stress into fuel, because now you're not just surviving it, you're learning from. It's step 3. Shift the lens. Pressure always shows up in two ways: external, deadlines, responsibilities, criticism, and internal, expectations, fear, perfectionism. You can't always control the external, but you can choose how you interpret. Instead of saying, this is too much, try, this is a chance to level up. Instead of, I can't handle this, say, what skill is this here to teach me? Pressure becomes poison when you label it as punishment. It becomes power when you treat it as preparation. Step 4. Train with intentional pressure. Want. To master pressure, stop waiting for it, create it. Train under stress on purpose. Give yourself tight deadlines. Say yes to projects just outside your comfort zone. Speak in front of people when you're nervous. Push the reps when your mind says stop. Each time you do, you build emotional oxygen. You expand your tolerance. And slowly, the weight that once crushed you starts feeling like warm-up. You don't wait for life to teach you how to be strong. You train ahead of time. Step 5. Reflect with precision. After every high-pressure moment, ask, what did I learn about myself? Where did I flinch? Where did I rise? What systems helped me stay grounded? Because wisdom doesn't come from pressure. It comes from processed pressure. This is how you refine the metal. This is how you build a version of yourself that doesn't just withstand heat. You generate it. And when people ask how you stay so calm when everything's falling apart, you'll smile, because they don't realize you built yourself in the fire. Here's the paradox of pressure. It feels like destruction, but it's actually exposure. It shows you what you need to work on. It reveals the cracks in your armor. It brings to the surface the beliefs, habits, and fears you've avoided for years. And that's not something to fear. That's a gift, because once you see what's been holding you back, you can finally fix it. Most people spend their lives trying to run from pressure, avoid conflict, avoid failure, avoid the heat, but the ones who grow, the ones who lead, The ones who radiate confidence without ever raising their voice. They step into it. They don't crumble. They convert. Stress becomes strength, heat becomes fuel, and pressure becomes proof that they're ready for the next level. So the next time pressure knocks, don't run, don't panic, don't shrink. Breathe, step forward, and say, I've been training for this. Because you have. And if this video helped you reframe even one pressure point in your life, share it with someone who needs that same shift. Subscribe. And join the movement of people who no longer fear the fire. They become it.